Right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to welcome you, Sheriff, and the Lord Mayor in this case, because we're not always honoured with the presence of the Lord Mayor. But Lord Mayor, the Sheriff, what's the official title of
my consort?
Your consort. Welcome, Mr. Consort. So, I'm sure that some of you will already have heard this before, but I'll just give you a bit of a brief rundown of what the Red Tower is and the area that it sits in and why it's here and everything else. And so, many people wonder why it stops here. And I have to explain to them that back in 1069, when good old Will built his castle in York, he wanted a moat around it. So the dastardly devil blocked off the river fosse, and the height of the river rose by 6 feet. What it then happened is that the river burst its banks and created a massive lake at this side of York from this point onwards until you get to the other side of Laythorpe. It became known as the King's Fish Pond. This is why it doesn't need to go any further than this. This added to the city's defence when the population of the castle spilled outside the castle walls and then took up residence beyond the walls. They needed protection. So in the 12th century, Earthmount was built with wooden palisades, and the entry to the city was one gate bar, and that was the first part of the city walls that was built on this side of the city. Don't ask me about the other side, because I don't care. It's this side that I'm interested in. And so, in the 14th century, the wood was replaced with stone. In the 15th century, our lovely tower was built. That was 100 years later than this section of wall. But you'll see it's built out of stone and out of brick and not stone. That's because the city couldn't afford it. The stone was expensive, the stonemasons that worked with it were expensive. And so, 100 years after that, this was built, and it was built by the Guild of Tilers out of bricks that were made in the brickworks that is now where the St Nick's Nature Reserve is. There used to be big brickworks there, and I believe that that was the original brickworks that not only made the original red bricks, but also made the bricks that the Victorians used to rebuild it. Because in Victorian times, in the mid-1800s, they decided that they wanted to reclaim the fish pond for industrial use. They filled it all in, they filled up the land around the tower, so in actual fact, you're only seeing 2/3 of it. The other third is below ground. And that was when it was a tower. The Victorians rebuilt the whole thing using the original red bricks on the outside and Victorian bricks on the inside. The reason why there wasn't enough red bricks is because in 1644, when Oliver Cromwell decided to try and beat York into submission during the siege, they actually bombarded this building and almost destroyed it. So it took right through till the Victorians in the mid-1800s to rebuild it again in the image that you see it today. They tried to be reasonably accurate with the design of the building, other than the roof. The roof was never like it is today. It started off as a flat roof, then apexed east and west, but the roof that you see today is a figment of a Victorian architect's imagination, because he wanted it to look like a medieval roof, and it never did. So in actual fact, the building now that you see now is a Victorian reproduction. We took over this building at the beginning of 2015 when it became quite derelict and was being used as nothing more than a council storeroom for grass cutting machines and builders' rubble and such. So, block your ears, council people, but we actually squatted in this building without any permission. We then started a pop-up cafe, a pay-as-you-feel cafe of a Saturday, which we intended to help to provide a resource for the local community. This was fine until the floods came on Boxing Day of 2015, when everything that we'd created was wiped out. But following that, we then got back up and running again after we'd been used as a storage and distribution point for the aid that was coming into the city. So we provided training materials and equipment and such for the local people to recover from the floods. After that, the council were good enough to give us a 30-year lease. The council were good enough to approve our plans for the upgrade of the interior of the building. We sourced the funding. We had to find £95,000 to fund the internal upgrade, but we didn't have a penny. Excuse me. We didn't have a penny, and so we got the funding, and what you see today is the results of a lot of hard work, a lot of planning, a lot of expertise, but most of all, a lot of enthusiasm. It's now a resource for the community. We're now engaged with local supermarkets, helping to reduce food waste, but also reduce food poverty in the area. So we now have on a Monday, we now issue out a lot of food waste that's surplus from the supermarkets. This is how we're going on in the future. We're carrying on the ethos that we started with. This will last for another 30 years, which I certainly won't. Thank you very much for your visit. I'd like to invite you inside, where you will be provided with something to drink, a biscuit or something like that for a snack, but most importantly, the toilet. Thank you.